You don't change your life in one moment. You change it in ordinary moments, done right, every single day. Most people wait for motivation. Winners build systems. This audiobook is not about hype. It's about tiny actions, repeated daily, that silently separate the powerful from the forgotten. If you improve just 1% every day, you don't stay average. You compound into someone unstoppable. This is the blueprint for getting better every single day. Even when you're tired, even when you're bored, even when no one is watching. Listen closely, because what you do daily decides everything. Chapter 1. Stop waiting for motivation. Most people are stuck for one simple reason. They are waiting to feel ready. They are waiting for motivation, waiting for confidence, waiting for the right mood, waiting for a sign. And while they wait, their life stays the same. That's the trap. Motivation is not the beginning. Motivation is the reward. You don't act because you feel motivated. You feel motivated because you act. That's the key. Read that again in your mind. Let it land. You move first. Motivation follows. This is where most people get it backward. They believe motivation is something you find, something that arrives, something external. It isn't. Motivation is a chemical response to progress. It's created by movement, by action, by effort. No movement means no motivation. No action means no energy. No discipline means no drive. You have a choice. You can keep waiting to feel like it, or you can decide to move without permission. You don't need their permission. Not society's. Not your family's. Not even your own emotional state. Feelings are not leaders. They are followers. And when you let feelings lead, your life becomes unstable. One day you're on. One day you're off. One day you're inspired. The next day you disappear. That inconsistency costs you more than you realize. Look at the people who actually change their lives. Not the ones who talk about it. The ones who do it. They train on bad days. They write when their mind feels empty. They build when no one is watching. They show up when they feel tired, bored, uninspired, and annoyed. That's not talent. That's not motivation. That's discipline. And discipline doesn't ask how you feel. It asks what time it is. It's not about motivation. It's about discipline. Say that to yourself. It's not about motivation. It's about discipline. You don't wake up disciplined. You practice it. You don't suddenly become consistent. You force consistency until it becomes normal. You don't wait for the mood. You act on schedule. Schedule is freedom. Mood is chaos. When you live by mood, your life goes up and down. When you live by schedule, your life moves forward. That's the difference. You have a choice. You can keep asking, do I feel like it today? Or you can decide, this is what I do. That decision changes everything. Professionals don't negotiate with themselves every morning. They don't debate. They don't check their feelings. They execute. The athlete trains because it's training time. The writer writes because it's writing time. The builder builds because it's time to build. No drama. No emotion. No waiting. Just action. You move first. Motivation follows. Most people never experience real motivation because they never earn it. They quit before it arrives. They stop before momentum kicks in. Momentum is shy. It doesn't show up immediately. You have to work without it first. That's the uncomfortable truth. The first few days feel heavy. The first few sessions feel pointless. The first steps feel unrewarding. And that's exactly where most people stop. They mistake resistance for a sign. They think difficulty means danger. It doesn't. Difficulty means growth. Resistance is the entry fee. Pay it. You don't need their permission. You don't need to feel inspired. You don't need to feel confident. You need to move. Action creates clarity. Action creates confidence. Action creates motivation. Not the other way around. You have a choice. You can be the person who waits, or the person who moves. Waiting feels safe, but it slowly kills your potential. Moving feels uncomfortable, but it builds power. Every day you wait, you reinforce weakness. Every day you move, you reinforce strength. That's the real battle. Not between you and the world. Between you and delay. Delay is expensive. Delay turns goals into regrets. Delay turns dreams into stories you tell instead of lives you live. Stop delaying. Decide what you do daily. Decide it once. Then stop debating it. Debate drains energy. Decision creates momentum. When you remove the decision, you remove the struggle. You don't wake up asking if you'll brush your teeth. You don't negotiate with yourself about that. You just do it. That's the level your habits need to reach. Automatic. Non-negotiable. Boring. Boring is powerful. It's not about excitement. It's about execution. Say it again. It's not about excitement. It's about execution. You have a choice. You can keep chasing motivation like a drug, or you can build discipline like a muscle. Muscles grow under resistance. So does discipline. Every time you act when you don't feel like it, discipline gets stronger. Every time you wait for motivation, discipline gets weaker. That's the trade. And trades compound. Weak habits compound. Strong habits compound. Nothing stays neutral. Your life right now is the result of what you repeatedly did or didn't do. Not what you wanted. Not what you planned. What you executed. That's the truth. And the truth doesn't care how you feel about it. You don't need permission to change. You don't need motivation to start. You don't need confidence to move. You need discipline. Start small, but start now. Pick a time. Pick a behavior. Lock it in. Then show up whether you feel like it or not. Especially when you don't feel like it, because that's where identity changes. You don't become disciplined by thinking about discipline. You become disciplined by acting without motivation. That's the key. You move first. Motivation follows. Burn that into your mind. And understand this. Once you stop waiting, life speeds up. Opportunities appear. Confidence grows. Energy increases. Not magically. Mechanically. Cause and effect. Action causes momentum. Momentum causes motivation. You have a choice. You can keep waiting for a feeling that may never come. Or you can decide to become the kind of person who moves without it. That person always wins. Lock this lesson in. Waiting is weakness. Movement is power. And now that you've conquered hesitation, it's time to understand what actually drives long-term success. Because motivation fades, but discipline lasts. Chapter 2. Small habits are not small. Most people underestimate what looks small. They look at 10 minutes. 1 page. 1 workout. 1 focused block of effort. And they dismiss it. They say it doesn't matter. They say it's too little. They say they'll start when they can do more. That thinking quietly destroys progress. Small habits are not small. They are seeds. And seeds don't look powerful until time touches them. That's the key. Big results don't come from big moments. They come from small actions repeated without negotiation. You have a choice. You can chase intensity, or you can build consistency. Intensity feels impressive. Consistency feels boring. But boredom is where growth lives. Small today, massive tomorrow. Say it again in your mind. Small today, massive tomorrow. Most people don't fail because they do nothing. They fail because they do too much once. They go hard for a week. They burn energy. They post about it. They feel accomplished. Then they disappear. That cycle feels productive, but it produces nothing. Consistency beats intensity. Every time. 10 minutes a day beats 0 hours once a week. Every time. Because 10 minutes shows up. 0 hours doesn't. This is not about effort. It's about repetition. Your brain is a learning machine. It adapts to what you repeat. When you repeat small actions daily, your brain stops resisting. It stops negotiating. It starts accepting. That's how habits are built. Big actions trigger fear. Small actions bypass it. Your brain doesn't argue with small. It doesn't panic. It doesn't create excuses. That's why small habits work. It's not about willpower. It's about friction. Lower the friction. Increase the frequency. That's the formula. You don't need their permission to start small. You don't need to impress anyone. You don't need to prove anything. You just need to repeat. Most people want visible results immediately. They want proof before patience. But compounding doesn't announce itself early. It whispers. At first, nothing seems to change. That's where doubt enters. This is where people quit. They say it's not working. They say it's too slow. They say they need something bigger. That's the flaw. It's not about speed. It's about direction. Daily improvement compounds whether you notice it or not. 1% per day doesn't look exciting, but it doesn't stay 1%. It stacks. It multiplies. It accelerates. That's how massive change actually happens. Quietly, relentlessly, unimpressively, until suddenly it's undeniable. You have a choice. You can respect the process, or you can restart forever. Restarting feels hopeful. Consistency feels demanding. But restarting keeps you beginner level. Consistency turns you dangerous. Dangerous to mediocrity. Dangerous to excuses. Dangerous to your old limits. Small habits don't ask for motivation. They ask for commitment. And commitment doesn't care how you feel. It's not about excitement. It's about discipline. Say it clearly. It's not about excitement. It's about discipline. When people say they don't have time, what they really mean is they don't have structure. Time exists. Structure doesn't. Small habits create structure. 10 minutes planned beats 2 hours imagined. Planning beats wishing. Execution beats planning. You don't rise to what you want. You fall to what you repeat. That's the truth. Your life is not built by goals. It's built by habits. And habits don't need to be extreme. They need to be consistent. Stop thinking in days. Start thinking in years. What can you do daily for 5 years? That's the real question. Anyone can suffer for a week. Few people can repeat for a decade. That's why few people win long-term. They overestimate what they can do once and underestimate what they can do daily. Flip that. Do less. Repeat more. You don't need their permission to go slow. You don't need to match anyone else's pace. Comparison kills consistency. Your only job is to show up again. Small habits build identity. Every time you act, you reinforce who you are. You don't become disciplined by declaring it. You become disciplined by behaving like it. 1 rep tells your brain, this is who I am. 1 page tells your brain, this is what I do. 1 session tells your brain, this is normal. That's the key. Identity follows behavior, not the other way around. People wait to feel like a reader before reading, like an athlete before training, like a builder before building. That's backwards. You read, then you become a reader. You train, then you become an athlete. You build, then you become a builder. Small habits remove the pressure to be perfect. They only require presence. Presence beats performance. Show up small. Show up again. Weekdays count. Tired days count. Busy days count. Especially those days. Because consistency on hard days creates trust with yourself. And self-trust is power. When you break promises to yourself, confidence erodes. When you keep small promises, confidence grows. Not dramatically. Gradually. That's how real confidence is built. You have a choice. You can chase big changes that don't last. Or you can build small habits that don't fail. One creates stories. The other creates results. Stop asking, is this enough? Start asking, can I repeat this? Repeatability is the standard. If you can't repeat it, it's too big. Shrink the habit. Increase the streak. Streaks change behavior. Your brain hates breaking streaks. Use that. Don't make the habit heroic. Make it inevitable. Same time. Same trigger. Same behavior. Remove decision-making. Decision fatigue kills habits. Decide once. Execute daily. That's discipline. It's not about talent. It's not about luck. It's not about genetics. It's about what you do when no one is watching. Small today. Massive tomorrow. Say it one last time. Small today. Massive tomorrow. Lock this in. Tiny actions, repeated daily, dominate your future. Not someday. Not eventually. Inevitably. You don't need their permission to start small. You need the courage to stay consistent. And now that you understand the power of repetition, it's time to learn why consistency alone already puts you ahead of almost everyone. This is where separation begins. Chapter 3. Your standards decide your future. Most people think their future is decided by goals. It isn't. Goals are wishes with deadlines. Standards are rules you live by. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your standards. That's the truth. What you tolerate becomes your normal. What you excuse becomes your identity. What you allow becomes your life. That's the key. People don't fail because they aim too low. They fail because their standards are weak. They say they want more, but they accept less. They want success, but they tolerate distraction. They want respect, but they tolerate inconsistency. They want confidence, but they tolerate broken promises to themselves. You have a choice. You can keep setting goals you don't protect, or you can raise the standards you enforce. Raise the standard. Raise the life. Say it again. Raise the standard. Raise the life. High performers don't negotiate with excuses. They don't ask how they feel. They don't debate whether today counts. They operate from rules. Rules remove emotion. Rules remove negotiation. Rules remove weakness. When you live by rules, behavior becomes automatic. I train at this time. I work on this daily. I don't skip twice. I don't tolerate sloppy effort. Those aren't goals. Those are standards. Goals are optional. Standards are mandatory. That's why standards work. Most people live with invisible low standards. They tolerate being late. They tolerate poor sleep. They tolerate distraction. They tolerate inconsistency. And then they wonder why nothing changes. Nothing changes because nothing is enforced. You can't outperform your standards. If your standard allows excuses, your life will reflect that. It's not about motivation. It's about discipline. Say it clearly. It's not about motivation. It's about discipline. Discipline is simply a set of personal standards you refuse to break. That's it. Not intensity. Not talent. Not luck. Standards. You don't need their permission to raise them. Not your friends. Not your families. Not the cultures. Most people will feel uncomfortable when you raise your standards. They'll call you obsessed. They'll call you extreme. They'll say you've changed. But that's the signal. Raising standards always creates friction, because it exposes low ones. You have a choice. You can hook up your standards to stay comfortable, or you can raise them and grow. Comfort costs you your future. Standards build it. Here's the psychology. Your brain seeks the path of least resistance. It wants efficiency. It wants comfort. Standards interrupt that. When you raise a standard, you force your brain to adapt. And adaptation is growth. If your standard is, I work out when I feel like it, your brain will always find a reason not to feel like it. If your standard is, I train at 6 a.m., your brain stops arguing. That's the key. Remove choice. Create compliance. Choice creates hesitation. Standards create action. Look at any elite performer. They don't rely on inspiration. They rely on rules. They don't say, I'll try. They say, this is what I do. Language matters. I try is weak. I do is a standard. Your internal language reflects your internal rules. If you constantly say, just this once, you've set a standard of flexibility. Flexibility sounds positive, but in discipline, it's dangerous. Because flexibility becomes inconsistency, and inconsistency kills progress. Raise the standard. Raise the life. Standards apply everywhere. Your work, your health, your focus, your sleep, your environment. If your standard allows clutter, your mind will feel cluttered. If your standard allows distraction, your results will be scattered. This isn't about perfection. It's about enforcement. You don't need perfect days. You need non-negotiable rules. Rules like, I don't miss twice. I finish what I start. I do the minimum even on bad days. Minimum standards save you on hard days. When motivation is gone, standards remain. That's why standards matter more than goals. Goals inspire for a moment. Standards govern for a lifetime. You have a choice. You can keep chasing feelings, or you can build rules that don't care about feelings. Feelings change. Standards don't. That's the key. High standards don't make life harder. They make decisions easier. When your standard is clear, there's no debate. You don't ask, should I? You say, this is what I do. Decision fatigue disappears, and energy returns. Weak standards drain energy. Strong standards create momentum. Every time you break your own standard, trust erodes. Every time you keep it, self-respect grows. Self-respect isn't given. It's earned through consistency. You don't gain confidence by thinking. You gain it by keeping promises to yourself. Small promises. Daily promises. Boring promises. Raise the standard. Raise the life. Most people think standards mean being harsh. They don't. They mean being clear. Clear about what you allow. Clear about what you refuse. You refuse to skip without reason. You refuse to drift. You refuse to negotiate with laziness. That's not punishment. That's leadership. You must lead yourself. No one else is coming to enforce your standards. No one else cares as much as you should. You don't need their permission to demand more from yourself. And here's the truth most people avoid. If your standards don't cost you comfort, they're too low. Growth requires discomfort. Standards create that discomfort on purpose. Not randomly. Strategically. You choose the discomfort of discipline. To avoid the pain of regret. You have a choice. Comfort now. Or pride later. Low standards feel good short-term. High standards feel good long-term. That's the trade. Look at your life honestly. Where are you tolerating things you shouldn't? Messy routines. Inconsistent sleep. Unfinished projects. Distracted work. Those aren't accidents. They're standards. Change the standard, change the outcome. Don't overhaul everything. Pick one area. Raise one standard. One rule you enforce no matter what. Then watch what happens. Momentum builds fast when standards rise. Because your brain adapts quickly to rules. Rules create identity. You don't become disciplined overnight. You become disciplined one enforced standard at a time. That's the process. Not flashy. Not dramatic. Effective. Raise the standard. Raise the life. Lock this lesson in. Your future is not decided by what you want. It's decided by what you tolerate. And now that you understand the power of standards, it's time to remove what quietly destroys them every day. Because even high standards fail. If your energy is leaking everywhere, you've raised the bar. Now protect it. Chapter 4. Eliminate the daily leaks. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they leak energy. Little leaks. Daily leaks. Invisible leaks. And over time, those leaks drain years. That's the problem. You don't collapse in one dramatic moment. You erode slowly. Distraction here. Late night there. One more scroll. One more excuse. And suddenly, progress feels impossible. It's not. You're just bleeding energy. That's the key. Energy is the fuel of discipline. No fuel, no movement. No movement, no growth. Protect your energy. Protect your growth. Say it again. Protect your energy. Protect your growth. Every meaningful change in your life requires energy. Focus requires energy. Consistency requires energy. Discipline requires energy. When energy leaks, discipline collapses. And most people don't even notice it happening. Let's be clear. Your biggest enemy isn't laziness. It's leakage. You start the day with limited energy. That's reality. And then you spend it on nonsense. Notifications. Scrolling. Arguments. Late nights. Poor sleep. Unplanned days. None of it feels dangerous. That's why it works. Energy leaks are quiet. No alarms. No warnings. Just slow decline. You have a choice. You can keep bleeding energy and wondering why you're tired. Or you can seal the leaks and reclaim your power. You don't need their permission to protect yourself. Not your bosses. Not your friends. Not the internet's. Boundaries are not selfish. They are necessary. Weak boundaries create strong distractions. Strong boundaries create focus. That's the trade. Let's talk about the biggest leak of all. Attention. Your attention is constantly under attack. Every app wants it. Every notification pulls it. Every scroll fractures it. And fractured attention produces fractured results. You cannot build anything meaningful in a distracted state. That's not motivation. That's neuroscience. Your brain needs uninterrupted focus to enter depth. Depth is where learning happens. Depth is where progress accelerates. Shallow attention creates shallow outcomes. That's the key. Scrolling feels harmless because it's passive, but it taxes your nervous system. Each swipe costs you clarity. Each notification costs you momentum. By the time you sit down to do real work, your brain is already exhausted. Not from effort, from noise. It's not about entertainment. It's about discipline. Say it. It's not about entertainment. It's about discipline. Late nights are another leak. You stay up just a little longer. One more episode. One more video. One more conversation. And you pay for it tomorrow. Sleep is not optional. It's foundational. Inconsistent sleep destroys focus, willpower, and emotional control. You wake up tired. You reach for stimulation. You lose the day. That cycle repeats. Years disappear like that. You don't need extreme routines. You need consistent ones. Same bedtime. Same wake time. Most days. That's not boring. That's powerful. Protect your energy. Protect your growth. Another leak is unstructured days. When you don't plan your day plans you. Other people's priorities fill the space. Random tasks consume the hours. And at the end of the day, you feel busy but unaccomplished. Busyness is not progress. Busyness is another leak. Progress requires intention. Decide in advance what matters. Schedule it. Protect it. That's discipline. You have a choice. You can let randomness run your life. Or you can impose structure. Structure is not restriction. Structure is freedom. Because when the important things are protected, everything else falls into place. Weak boundaries leak energy through people too. Every yes costs something. Every unnecessary conversation drains focus. Every explanation wastes time. You don't need to justify your discipline. You don't need their permission. High performers are not rude. They are selective. They protect their time because they respect their future. If you don't protect your time, no one else will. That's not harsh. That's reality. Another major leak is mental clutter. Unfinished tasks. Loose ends. Open loops. Your brain keeps track of all of it. Every unresolved item creates background stress. Write things down. Close loops. Finish small tasks. Clarity restores energy. Confusion drains it. That's the key. Look at your routines honestly. Where is your energy leaking? Morning chaos. Midday distractions. Evening exhaustion. Leaks are patterns. And patterns can be fixed. You don't fix leaks with motivation. You fix them with rules. Rules like no phone for the first hour. Screens off at this time. Work before consumption. Sleep is non-negotiable. Rules remove decision-making. Decision-making drains energy. Decide once. Execute daily. That's discipline. You have a choice. You can keep reacting to impulses. Or you can design your environment. Environment beats willpower. Remove distractions instead of fighting them. Create friction for bad habits. Create ease for good ones. That's how discipline replaces weakness. Weakness thrives in chaos. Discipline thrives in order. Protect your energy. Protect your growth. This isn't about becoming extreme. It's about becoming intentional. You don't need to do more. You need to leak less. Most people try to add habits without fixing leaks. That never works. You can't pour into a broken container. Seal the leaks first. Less scrolling. Earlier nights. Clear mornings. Planned days. Simple. Not easy. Effective. And here's the hard truth. If something drains you daily, and you keep it, you're choosing the drain. You have a choice. Every habit you keep is a vote. Every boundary you enforce is a statement. I value my future. I respect my energy. I protect my growth. Say that to yourself. Protect your energy. Protect your growth. Once leaks are sealed, discipline becomes easier. Not effortless, but manageable. Energy returns. Focus sharpens. Momentum builds. And when momentum builds, everything accelerates. This chapter is not about guilt. It's about responsibility. No one is coming to protect your energy for you. You must do it. And when you do, everything else improves. Your work, your habits, your confidence. Because discipline needs fuel. And energy is that fuel. Lock this lesson in. Progress doesn't disappear. It leaks away. Seal the leaks. And growth becomes inevitable. And now that your energy is protected, it's time to learn how to strengthen the force that keeps you consistent long-term. Because discipline isn't a personality trait. It's a skill. And skills can be trained. Chapter 5. Discipline is a muscle. Most people think discipline is something you either have or you don't. They're wrong. Discipline is not a personality trait. It's not genetics. It's not talent. Discipline is a muscle. And like every muscle, it only grows when you use it. That's the key. If you avoid discomfort, discipline stays weak. If you avoid resistance, discipline never develops. If you wait for motivation, discipline atrophies. You have a choice. You can train discipline daily, or you can let it decay. There is no neutral. A muscle that isn't trained gets weaker. A standard that isn't enforced collapses. A habit that isn't repeated disappears. Discipline works the same way. Most people think they need to feel strong before they act. In reality, acting makes you strong. Showing up tired builds more discipline than showing up motivated ever will. That's not opinion. That's how the brain works. Your nervous system adapts to stress. Your mind adapts to resistance. When you act despite discomfort, your brain rewires itself to tolerate effort. That's how discipline is built. Do it tired. Do it bored. Do it anyway. Say it again. Do it tired. Do it bored. Do it anyway. Every time you do something you don't feel like doing, discipline gets stronger. Every time you quit because you don't feel like it, discipline gets weaker. That's the trade. And most people make the wrong one daily. They wait for energy. They wait for confidence. They wait for the perfect moment. That moment rarely comes. And when it does, it doesn't last. You don't need their permission to act without motivation. Not your emotions. Not your pasts. Not your fears. Feelings are weather. Discipline is climate. Weather changes. Climate shapes outcomes. You don't build discipline on good days. Good days are easy. You build discipline on hard days. On days you're tired. On days you're bored. On days you'd rather quit. Those days are the gym. And skipping the gym never made anyone strong. That's the key. Let's break this down psychologically. Your brain is designed to conserve energy. It avoids effort by default. When effort appears, the brain sends signals. Fatigue, doubt, resistance. Those signals are not danger. They are friction. And friction is necessary. If you stop every time resistance appears, your brain learns that resistance wins. If you push through resistance, your brain learns that you're in charge. That's discipline. Discipline is not loud. It doesn't feel heroic. It feels repetitive. It feels dull. It feels uncomfortable, which is why most people avoid it. You have a choice. You can chase comfort and stay the same. Or you can choose discomfort and grow. Growth always costs something. The price is paid in effort. Not once. Daily. People ask, how do I become more disciplined? The answer is simple. Not easy. Simple. Keep doing the thing. Even when you don't want to. That's it. No shortcuts. Repetition under discomfort. Do it tired. Do it bored. Do it anyway. That phrase isn't motivational. It's instructional. It tells you exactly when discipline is being trained. When you're tired. When you're bored. When you want to stop. Those moments matter more than all the others combined. Showing up motivated feels good. Showing up tired builds identity. Identity is everything. You don't become disciplined by thinking about discipline. You become disciplined by acting like a disciplined person would act. Even when it sucks. Especially when it sucks. That's the key. Stop telling yourself you'll start when you feel better. Feeling better comes after action, not before. Stop telling yourself you'll do more tomorrow. Tomorrow doesn't build discipline. Today does. Discipline is built in real time. Right now. You have a choice. You can respect your excuses. Or you can respect your future. Excuses feel good short term. Discipline feels good long-term. Every time you choose discipline, you deposit into self-respect. Every time you choose comfort, you withdraw from it. And eventually, the account hits zero. People with low discipline often struggle with confidence. That's not random. Confidence is built by keeping promises to yourself. Discipline is promise-keeping. Not big promises. Small ones. Daily ones. Boring ones. If you only show up when you're motivated, you're teaching yourself that you're unreliable. If you show up regardless of mood, you're teaching yourself that you can be trusted. That trust becomes confidence. That's the process. Not affirmations. Not hype. Action. It's not about motivation. It's about discipline. Say it again. It's not about motivation. It's about discipline. Let's talk about what to stop doing. Stop negotiating with yourself. Negotiation kills discipline. Maybe later. Just this once. I'll make it up tomorrow. Those phrases weaken the muscle. Decide once. Execute daily. Remove debate. Debate drains energy. Rules conserve it. If you decide you train at a certain time, you don't ask how you feel. You go. If you decide you work on something daily, you don't wait for inspiration. You start. That's how discipline becomes automatic. Now let's talk about what to start doing. Start collecting reps. Discipline grows with reps. Not perfect reps. Honest reps. Reps on bad days count double. Because they hurt more. Start tracking consistency, not intensity. Did you show up? Did you do the minimum? Did you keep the promise? That's what matters. Lower the bar for starting. Raise the bar for quitting. That's discipline. You don't need their permission to start small. Small reps still count. A short workout still trains discipline. A short writing session still trains discipline. Skipping trains weakness. Doing something trains strength. That's the key. Most people quit when things get boring. Boredom is a test. Boredom asks, do you really want this? Discipline answers without speaking. Boredom is not a reason to stop. It's a reason to continue. Because boredom means the novelty is gone. And only discipline remains. That's where results are made. You have a choice. Quit when it's boring. Or build something real. Real progress is boring. That's why it's rare. Do it tired. Do it bored. Do it anyway. Burn that into your mind. Discipline does not require confidence. Confidence requires discipline. Discipline does not require energy. Energy comes from discipline. Everything you want sits on the other side of consistent effort. Not heroic effort. Consistent effort. Daily effort. And the more you train discipline, the easier it becomes. Not easy. Easier. The muscle strengthens. What was once hard becomes normal. What was once uncomfortable becomes routine. That's how lives change. Not overnight. Over repetitions. Lock this lesson in. Discipline is not who you are. It's what you practice. Practice it daily. Especially when it's uncomfortable. Because discomfort is proof you're training the right muscle. And now that you understand how discipline is built, it's time to decide where to apply it first. Because how you start your day determines how strong that muscle gets. You've strengthened the engine. Now aim it correctly. Chapter 6. Win the first hour. Most lives are lost before breakfast. Not in one dramatic moment. Not through a big failure. But through a weak first hour. You wake up. You check your phone. You scroll. You react. You rush. And without realizing it, the day owns you. That's the truth. The first hour of your day programs the rest of it. Your focus. Your discipline. Your energy. Your standards. Win the morning. Win the day. Lose the morning, and you spend the rest of the day trying to recover from a hole you dug while half awake. You have a choice. Most people don't think they do. They say, "I'm not a morning person." They say, "My schedule is crazy." They say, "I'll start tomorrow." That's not a time problem. That's a discipline problem. It's not about mornings. It's about control. High performers don't wake up and ask, "How do I feel?" They wake up and ask, "What must be done?" That's the difference. Let's break it down. When you wake up and immediately consume messages, notifications, news, social media, you put your brain into reaction mode. Psychologically, you hand your nervous system to other people's priorities, other people's emergencies, other people's noise. Your brain spikes dopamine with zero effort. And once that happens, focus becomes expensive. That's the key. A reactive morning trains a reactive mind. And a reactive mind lives a reactive life. You don't need their permission to take control of your first hour. You don't need motivation. You need rules. Rules beat feelings. Every time. The first hour should not be flexible. It should be non-negotiable. Because what you do consistently in the first hour becomes your identity. Let's talk about what you must stop doing. Stop checking your phone the moment you wake up. Stop lying in bed negotiating with yourself. Stop hitting snooze like you're bargaining with life. Snooze is a decision. A decision to delay discomfort. A decision to practice weakness. Every time you hit snooze, you rehearse quitting. It's not about sleep. It's about discipline. Your brain learns fast. It learns what you tolerate. If you tolerate drifting, distraction, and delay in the first hour, don't be surprised when your entire day feels scattered. Raise the standard early or lower it all day. Now let's talk about what you must start doing. You need an intentional opening sequence. Not complicated. Not aesthetic. Effective. The first hour needs 3 things: movement, clarity, and direction. Movement comes first. You don't need a full workout. You need to activate your body. Push-ups. Cold water on your face. Because motion tells the brain, we're awake. We're in charge. That's the key. A stagnant body creates a sluggish mind. An activated body sharpens focus. Next comes clarity. Before the world speaks to you, you speak to yourself. No phone. No input. Ask one question. What matters today? Not 10 things. What? Write it down. Say it out loud. This is how you stop drifting. This is how you stop reacting. Clarity beats chaos. Then comes direction. You must decide the tone of your day before someone else decides it for you. Are you disciplined today? Focused? Relentless? Say it. Identity precedes behavior. If you start the day as a leader, you act like one. If you start the day as a victim, you react like one. You have a choice. Most people wait for energy to appear. Winners generate it. They don't feel ready. They get ready. They don't feel motivated. They move anyway. Win the morning. Win the day. Let's talk about tiredness. You'll say, but I'm exhausted in the morning. That's where discipline grows. Showing up tired builds more strength than showing up motivated. Anyone can win the morning when they feel good. The real work happens when you don't. It's not about how you feel. It's about what you do. Do it tired. Do it foggy. Do it anyway. Your nervous system adapts. Your confidence grows. Your identity hardens. That's the transformation. Now let's get practical. Here's a simple rule set. Wake up at the same time. Every day. No snooze. No phone for the first 30 minutes. Move your body for 10 minutes. Decide your top priority for the day. Start one meaningful task before the world interrupts you. That's it. Simple. Not easy. And that's the point. Stop romanticizing complexity. Discipline thrives on simplicity. If you can't control the first hour, you won't control the rest. Now, let's address excuses. What about kids? What about night shifts? What about my schedule? You adapt the structure. You don't abandon the principle. The principle is ownership. You don't need a perfect routine. You need a consistent one. Consistency builds trust with yourself. And self-trust is power. When you win the first hour repeatedly, something shifts. You stop feeling behind. You stop rushing. You stop chasing the day. You lead it. That's the psychological shift. You move from reaction to command. And once your mornings are disciplined, everything else becomes easier. Work feels lighter. Decisions feel clearer. Distractions lose their grip. Because discipline compounds. Win the morning. Win the day. Let me be clear. This is not about productivity hacks. This is about identity architecture. You are teaching your brain who's in charge. Every morning you execute, you send a message. I do what I said I would do. That message changes everything. Confidence isn't loud. It's quiet certainty built through small, kept promises. And it starts in the first hour. You don't need their permission to change your mornings. You don't need approval. You don't need applause. You need standards. Set them early. Protect them aggressively. Because energy leaks fast when mornings are weak. And when mornings are strong, life follows. That's the key. Let's lock this in. The first hour is not optional. It is foundational. Guard it. Train it. Win it. You have a choice. Every single morning. And each choice is a vote for the person you are becoming. Win the morning. Win the day. You've learned how to take control of your time before the world takes it from you. Now it's time to confront what silently drains that time and energy once the day begins. Chapter 7. Track what you want to grow. Most people think they know themselves. They don't. They feel busy. They feel tired. They feel like they're trying. But feelings lie. Data doesn't. What gets measured gets improved. What's ignored decays. That's not motivation. That's reality. You don't drift into excellence. You track your way there. Data beats feelings. Right now, you probably feel like you work hard. You feel like you're disciplined sometimes. You feel like you're making progress. But if I asked you simple questions, how many focused hours did you work yesterday? How many days did you train this week? How many pages did you read last month? Most people wouldn't know. That's the problem. If you don't measure it, you can't manage it. If you can't manage it, you can't grow it. You have a choice. You can keep living off vague impressions. Or you can face the truth and take control. That's the key. High performers are not more emotional. They are more precise. They don't guess. They verify. They don't say, I think I'm improving. They say, I have the numbers. Tracking exposes reality. And reality is where change begins. Let's get psychological for a moment. Your brain is a master rationalizer. It protects your ego. If you feel productive, your brain gives you credit, even if you weren't. If you felt tired, your brain excuses weakness, even if you quit early. Tracking removes the debate. Numbers don't argue. They don't negotiate. They don't care about your mood. Data beats feelings. This is why tracking feels uncomfortable at first. It strips away stories. You stop saying, I usually. You start seeing, I actually. And that gap is where growth lives. Now let's be clear. Tracking is not about obsession. It's about awareness. Awareness creates responsibility. Responsibility creates discipline. It's not about perfection. It's about honesty. You don't need their permission to look at your own numbers. You don't need approval to hold yourself accountable. You owe yourself the truth. Let's talk about what you must stop doing. Stop relying on memory. Stop judging progress by mood. Stop assuming effort equals results. Effort without direction leaks energy. Effort without tracking creates delusion. You can work hard in the wrong direction for years. Tracking prevents that. Now let's talk about what you must start doing. You must choose a few key behaviors and measure them daily. Not everything, just what matters. If you want a stronger body, track workouts. If you want a sharper mind, track reading and focus time. If you want discipline, track consistency. Simple, relentless. Write it down. Every day. Pen and paper. Notes app. Spreadsheet. The tool doesn't matter. The habit does. Because the act of tracking changes behavior. That's the key. When you know you'll record it later, you act differently now. You hesitate before skipping. You think twice before quitting. Tracking creates friction against weakness. Let's use an example. Say you want to improve focus. You feel distracted all the time. You feel busy. So you track deep work minutes. Day 1, 20 minutes. Day 2, 30. Day 3, 15. Now you know. No drama. No shame. Just truth. From there, improvement becomes obvious. You don't need motivation. You need a target. Tomorrow, you aim for 25. Then 30. Then 40. Discipline grows through feedback. Data beats feelings. Now let's address resistance. You might think, tracking is boring. But boring builds consistency. You might think, I'll forget. That's why you attach it to a routine. End of day. Same time. Same place. 2 minutes. That's all it takes. 2 minutes to confront reality. 2 minutes to build self-respect. Because every time you track, you reinforce this identity. I pay attention. And people who pay attention improve faster. Now let's talk about what happens when you don't track. You drift. You lie to yourself without realizing it. Weeks pass. Months pass. You feel busy, but nothing changes. That's how people lose years. Not in chaos. In quiet, unmeasured routines. That's the danger. Tracking protects you from slow decay. Let me be direct. If your life isn't changing, it's because you're not measuring what matters. It's not about intelligence. It's about discipline. You don't rise to goals. You fall to tracked behaviors. That's the key. Now let's refine this. Tracking only works if it's honest. No padding numbers. No almost counts. No excuses. Did you do it? Yes or no? Binary tracking builds clarity. Either you showed up, or you didn't. Gray areas breed weakness. Clarity builds strength. And here's the powerful part. Tracking builds momentum. You see streaks form. Chains grow. You don't want to break them. Not because someone's watching. Because you are. That's internal discipline. That's real power. You have a choice. You can be emotional and inconsistent. Or precise and dangerous. Dangerous to your old limits. Dangerous to excuses. Data beats feelings. Now let's lock in a practical framework. Choose 3 things to track. 1 physical. 1 mental. 1 execution-based. For example, workouts completed. Pages read. Focused work sessions. Track them daily for 30 days. No adjustments. No overthinking. Just observe. At the end of 30 days, you will know yourself better than most people ever do. And knowledge creates leverage. From leverage comes change. This is how discipline replaces motivation. You stop asking, do I feel like it? You ask, what do the numbers require? That question alone will change your life. Because feelings fluctuate. Standards don't. And tracked standards shape destiny. You don't need their permission to demand more from yourself. You don't need validation. You need evidence. Tracking gives you that. Every mark is a vote. Every entry is a decision. You are building proof of who you are becoming. Let me say this clearly. If you want to grow, you must watch. Watch your time. Watch your habits. Watch your follow-through. What you watch improves. What you ignore rots. That's not harsh. That's honest. And honesty is the foundation of transformation. Data beats feelings. Say it again. Data beats feelings. You've learned how to replace guesswork with clarity. How to turn discipline into something measurable and real. Now it's time to protect that discipline from the outside world. Because not everything deserves your attention. Chapter 8. Become boringly consistent. Most people quit right before consistency would have worked. Not because it's hard, but because it's boring. And boredom exposes weakness. Everyone wants results. Few want repetition. Everyone wants change. Few want routine. That's why average stays average. Extraordinary results don't come from extraordinary actions. They come from ordinary actions done relentlessly. Boring habits. Legendary results. Say it again. Boring habits. Legendary results. You have been trained to chase excitement. New plans. New systems. New shortcuts. But growth doesn't respond to novelty. It responds to consistency. That's the key. Professionals don't look for hacks. They master basics. Amateurs get bored and move on. Pros get bored and keep going. That difference decides everything. Let's get honest. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they keep changing. Changing routines. Changing goals. Changing direction. Every reset kills momentum. Consistency compounds. Inconsistency resets the clock. You have a choice. You can be entertained, or you can be effective. You can feel busy, or you can make progress. Boring habits don't feel impressive, but they build impressive lives. Look at any elite performer. Athletes, writers, builders, leaders. Their days look simple. Same wake-up time. Same training blocks. Same focus windows. Nothing flashy. Nothing dramatic. Just repetition. That's the secret no one wants to hear. It's not about creativity. It's about discipline. It's not about intensity. It's about consistency. Now let's break the psychology. Your brain craves novelty because novelty feels like progress. But novelty is often just distraction. Consistency feels slow, quiet, unrewarding at first. That's why most people abandon it too early. But here's the truth. The brain adapts to repetition. Habits require less energy over time. What was hard becomes automatic. That's how discipline replaces motivation. Motivation spikes. Discipline sustains. Boring habits remove decision fatigue. You don't wake up asking, should I do this? You already decided. That's power. Decision-making drains energy. Routines conserve it. That's the key. Now let's talk about what you must stop doing. Stop redesigning your routine every week. Stop abandoning habits because results are slow. Stop confusing boredom with failure. Boredom means the system is working. It means you've removed drama. It means you're no longer dependent on emotion. That's progress. Weak people need excitement to act. Strong people act regardless. Now let's talk about what you must start doing. Choose a simple routine. So simple it feels almost stupid. Then repeat it. Same time. Same place. Same structure. Daily. No negotiations. For example, if you train the same days every week. If you write the same time every day. If you build in the same block. Remove choice. Choice invites excuses. Rules eliminate them. You don't need their permission to live simply. You don't need approval to repeat what works. You need results. And results demand consistency. Let me say this clearly. If your life feels chaotic, your habits are chaotic. If your results are unstable, your routines are unstable. Stability creates strength. Boring habits stabilize behavior. That's why high performers protect their routines aggressively. They don't let moods hijack them. They don't let social noise interfere. They know what matters. They show up even when nothing feels special. Especially then, because showing up bored builds identity. You start seeing yourself as someone who follows through. That identity becomes unshakable. Now let's address a lie you might believe. I'll do it when I feel inspired. That's not how it works. Inspiration follows action, not the other way around. You've already learned that. Now you apply it through consistency. You don't need to feel ready. You need to be reliable. Reliability beats brilliance. Every time. Let's use a real-world example. Two people start the same habit. Person A goes hard for a week, then misses days, then restarts. Person B does the minimum every day. No excitement, no intensity. After 6 months, person B wins. Not by effort, by accumulation. Small actions repeated become unstoppable. Boring habits. Legendary results. That phrase matters because it reframes your thinking. You stop chasing fireworks. You start stacking bricks. Brick by brick. No applause. No spotlight. Just progress. Now here's where most people sabotage themselves. They overcomplicate. They add too many habits at once. They aim for perfection. Perfection kills consistency. Simplicity sustains it. Choose fewer habits. Protect them fiercely. That's the key. One workout routine. One work block. One reflection habit. That's enough. More is not better. Better is better. And better comes from repetition. You have a choice. You can impress yourself for a week, or build yourself for a lifetime. Now let's talk about boredom again. Boredom is not the enemy. Distraction is. Boredom means you're doing the work without emotional reward. That's exactly where growth happens. When no one is watching. When nothing exciting happens. When you still show up. That's discipline. It's not about passion. It's about follow-through. Say it. It's not about passion. It's about discipline. That line matters because passion fades. Discipline remains. Now let's lock this into behavior. When you feel the urge to change routines, pause. Ask one question. Is this broken or am I bored? Most of the time, you're just bored. And boredom is not a signal to quit. It's a signal to continue. That's how you separate yourself from the crowd. Average people chase stimulation. Exceptional people build systems. Systems don't care how you feel. They move you forward anyway. That's freedom. Freedom from mood. Freedom from excuses. Freedom from inconsistency. You don't need their permission to live a disciplined life. You don't need validation for boring habits. You need outcomes. And outcomes come from consistency. Let me reinforce this one more time. If you want extraordinary results, accept an ordinary process. If you want a strong body, repeat basic movements. If you want a strong mind, repeat basic focus. If you want a strong life, repeat strong habits. Every day. No drama. That's the path. Boring habits. Legendary results. Say it again. Boring habits. Legendary results. Now you understand how discipline is built quietly. How consistency outperforms intensity. How boring routines create unstoppable momentum. But consistency requires protection, because the world will try to pull you off course. Noise, opinions, distractions. To stay consistent, you must learn when to say nothing, when to withdraw, when to conserve energy. You've learned how to build habits. Now it's time to protect them. You've mastered repetition. Now it's time to master restraint. Chapter 9. Identity beats willpower. Willpower is weak. That's not an insult. That's reality. Willpower depends on mood, energy, circumstances. Identity does not. Identity is who you believe you are. And who you believe you are decides what you do when no one is watching. That's the key. Most people try to change behavior without changing identity. They rely on effort, on forcing themselves. It never lasts, because willpower runs out. Identity does not. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your identity. Read that again. You fall to the level of your identity. If you see yourself as inconsistent, you'll act inconsistent. If you see yourself as disciplined, you'll act disciplined. Even on bad days, you have a choice. You can keep saying, "I'm trying," or you can decide who you are and act from there. Most people say, "I'm trying to work out." What they mean is, "I work out when it's convenient." High performers say, "I train." Not emotionally, not dramatically. As a fact, I train is identity. I'm trying is negotiation. Negotiation is weakness. Rules are strength. That's the difference. Identity removes debate. You don't ask if a disciplined person shows up. They do. You don't ask if a reader reads. They read. You don't ask if a builder builds. They build. Because that's who they are. That's the shift you must make. Not more motivation. Not more hacks. A new identity. Now let's break the psychology. Your brain wants consistency between belief and behavior. This is called cognitive alignment. When your actions match your identity, your brain feels stable. When they don't, your brain feels tension. Most people avoid tension by changing behavior temporarily. Strong people eliminate tension by changing identity permanently. That's the key. When you act out of identity, discipline feels lighter. Because you're not forcing behavior. You're expressing who you are. Let me say it clearly. Discipline is easier when it's identity-based. Willpower says, "I should." Identity says, "This is what I do." Big difference. Now let's talk about how identity is actually built. Not by affirmations. Not by repeating words in a mirror. Identity is built through evidence. Small wins. Repeated actions. Every time you show up, you cast a vote for the person you're becoming. That's not motivational fluff. That's psychology. One action doesn't define you, but patterns do. That's why consistency matters. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be consistent enough to believe yourself. When you keep promises to yourself, identity strengthens. When you break them, identity weakens. You have a choice. Keep lying to yourself, or start proving who you are. Now let's talk about what you must stop doing. Stop saying, "I'll try." Stop labeling yourself as lazy, undisciplined, or unlucky. Stop outsourcing responsibility to motivation. Those labels become identity. And identity becomes behavior. You don't need their permission to redefine yourself. You don't need approval to change who you are. You decide. Now let's talk about what you must start doing. Start using identity language. Not someday. Instead of, "I'm trying to eat better," say, "I eat like someone who respects their body." Instead of, "I want to focus more," say, "I'm the kind of person who finishes what they start." Then back it up with action. Small action. Daily action. That's how identity locks in. It's not about intensity. It's about repetition. Say it. It's not about intensity. It's about discipline. Now let's address the fear. Some people hesitate to claim a new identity because they're afraid of failing. They think, what if I say I train, then miss a day? That fear keeps them small. Here's the truth. Identity doesn't mean perfection. It means direction. Missing once doesn't break identity. Quitting does. That's the key. You don't stop being a disciplined person because you had a bad day. You stop being disciplined when you decide that bad days define you. They don't. How you respond to failure matters more than the failure itself. A disciplined identity says, I get back on track. Immediately. No drama. No self-hate. Just correction. That response reinforces identity. Now let's ground this in a real example. Two people miss a workout. Person 1 says, I'm so lazy. I always mess up. They skip the next day too. Person 2 says, that's not who I am. They train the next day. Same mistake. Different identity. Different future. Identity decides the rebound. Now let's talk about willpower again. Willpower is like holding your breath. You can do it, but not forever. Identity is like breathing. It happens automatically. If you rely on willpower, you'll constantly feel drained. If you rely on identity, you'll feel aligned. Aligned people move faster because there's no inner conflict, no argument, no negotiation. They act. That's power. You don't need more self-control. You need clearer self-definition. Or you be precise. Vague identities create vague behavior. I want to be better means nothing. I am someone who trains 5 days a week means something. Specific identity leads to specific action. That's the key. Now let's talk about environment. Your environment should support your identity. If you say you're focused, remove distractions. If you say you're disciplined, set rules. If you say you're serious, act like it. Identity isn't just internal. It's visible. In how you schedule. In how you say no. In what you tolerate. What you tolerate defines identity. If you tolerate excuses, you become someone who makes excuses. If you tolerate discomfort, you become someone who grows. You have a choice. Raise your identity or protect your comfort. You can't do both. Now let's anchor the core phrase. Act like who you're becoming. Say it. Act like who you're becoming. Not tomorrow. Today. If you want to become disciplined, act disciplined now. If you want to become focused, act focused now. Action leads identity. Identity reinforces action. It's a loop. A powerful one. That's how long-term change actually happens. Not through hype. Through alignment. Now let's get practical. Here's a simple exercise. Pick one identity you want to embody. Just one. For example, I am someone who finishes what they start. Then ask one question every day. What would someone like that do today? Then do the smallest version of it. That's it. No overthinking. No waiting. You don't need their permission to start acting differently. You don't need validation to change your standards. You need consistency. Because identity is built quietly. In repetition. In boredom. In follow-through. Over time, you stop forcing it. It becomes natural. Automatic. That's when willpower becomes irrelevant. Because identity has taken over. Let me lock this in. If you rely on willpower, you'll always feel behind. If you build identity, you'll feel grounded. Identity is the foundation. Habits sit on top of it. Results sit on top of habits. Change the foundation. The structure follows. You've learned how consistency works. You've learned how habits compound. Now you understand who must carry them. Your identity. But identity needs protection. from noise, from opinions, from the urge to explain yourself. Sometimes the strongest move is silence. You've shaped who you are becoming. Now it's time to protect it. Chapter 10. Learn, apply, repeat. Most people are addicted to learning. Videos, podcasts, books, courses. They consume endlessly. They feel productive. They feel motivated. They feel like change is coming. But nothing changes. Knowledge without execution is worthless. You can memorize 100 strategies. You can highlight 1,000 pages. You can take notes until your hand cramps. It doesn't matter until you act. That's the key. Let me say it again. Knowledge without execution is worthless. Most people are not lazy. They are distracted by thinking, by planning, by absorbing more than they apply. That's the trap. You don't need more information. You need application. You need action. You need proof. Let's break the psychology. The human brain craves learning because learning feels like progress. You watch a video, you read a chapter, you feel productive. The brain rewards you with dopamine. You feel good. You tell yourself you're growing. But growth is measured by results, not by feelings, not by knowledge. Results come from action. That's why the simple formula matters. Learn it. Use it. Move on. Say it aloud. Learn it. Use it. Move on. Do not dwell. Do not overcomplicate. Do not overthink. One idea applied is worth 10 forgotten. One step taken is worth 100 notes. You have a choice. You can keep consuming endlessly, or you can act. And acting is simple. Simple, just not easy, because it requires courage. It requires focus. It requires self-discipline. Now let's talk about what you must stop doing. Stop collecting information like a squirrel hoarding nuts. Stop bookmarking every must-watch video. Stop thinking that preparation replaces execution. Preparation does not equal progress. Action equals progress. Stop waiting for perfect timing. Stop waiting for clarity. Stop waiting for the right mood. That's the trap of the learner. They wait. They plan. They consume. And nothing happens. Now let's talk about what you must start doing. Start applying immediately. Start taking the smallest version of the idea you just learned and implementing it. Start proving to yourself that knowledge can be transformed into action. Read a principle. Test it today. See what works. See what fails. Iterate. Refine. Repeat. That's the loop. Learn. Apply. Repeat. No exceptions. No negotiation. Let's go deeper. Action reinforces identity. Every time you apply what you learn, you strengthen who you are. I am someone who executes. I am someone who applies ideas. I am someone who doesn't just consume, I create results. Identity beats willpower. And applied knowledge builds identity faster than willpower ever could. Let's use a real example. Two people watch the same 30-minute video on productivity. Person A takes notes, highlights passages, and shares the video on social media. Person B watches the video and immediately applies one technique to their morning routine. Who makes progress? Person B. Every time. Not because they know more. Because they act. Because they move. Because they execute. That's the key. Now let's address the fear that stops execution. People fear failing when they apply knowledge. They think, what if it doesn't work? What if I look stupid? What if I waste my time? That fear keeps them passive. It keeps them consuming. It keeps them busy, but not growing. Here's the truth. Failure is feedback. Feedback is power. Power comes from doing, adjusting, and repeating. You don't fail by trying. You fail by doing nothing. Repetition is critical. One action applied imperfectly, repeated consistently, beats perfect knowledge ignored. Every day you learn and apply, your skill grows. Your results grow. Your confidence grows. You have a choice. You can wait for perfect knowledge. Or you can take imperfect knowledge and make it perfect through action. That's the key. Now let's talk about execution systems. Execution doesn't happen by accident. You need structure. You need simplicity. You need discipline. Every time you learn something new, ask yourself, what is the smallest action I can take today to use this? Do it. Do it immediately. Track it. Repeat. Then move on to the next lesson. Consume less. Execute more. That's the path to mastery. Now let's break it down into daily practice. Step 1. Limit consumption. Pick one source. One book. One course. One video. Not 5. Step 2. Apply immediately. Do not wait. Implement one idea today, even if small. Step 3. Record results. Did it work? Did it fail? Adjust. Step 4. Repeat. Next lesson. Next action. Next result. Simple. Boring. Effective. Absolutely. Here's the psychological reinforcement. Every action you take proves to your brain that learning is worth doing. Every result reinforces your identity as someone who acts. Every repetition compounds into momentum. Momentum beats motivation. Action beats knowledge. You have a choice. Keep consuming endlessly, or start doing relentlessly. The world rewards execution, not plans, not ideas, not intentions. Execution. Let's talk about time. Most people delay because they think, I'll apply it tomorrow. Tomorrow doesn't exist. Tomorrow is an illusion. Today is real. Today is measurable. Today is your leverage. Now, even small steps today beat giant leaps tomorrow. Even imperfect execution today beats perfect planning next week. Now let's address analysis paralysis. People overthink. They analyze every step before moving. So, learn enough to act. Apply immediately. Then adjust. That's the cycle. Learn. Apply. Repeat. You don't need to wait for mastery to begin. You don't need to wait for certainty to act. Execution creates clarity. Action builds understanding. Repetition builds skill. This is how extraordinary people outperform. They don't know more. They do more. Let's reinforce the mantra. Learn it. Use it. Move on. Say it again. Learn it. Use it. Move on. Make this your habit. Make this your identity. Make this your standard. Now let's address distractions. Distractions are the death of execution. Every unproductive scroll. Every shiny new idea not applied. Every half-done task steals momentum. Protect your focus. Protect your energy. Protect your ability to act. Learn small. Apply immediately. Move on. That's how results compound. Over time, your actions outweigh your consumption. Your results prove your learning. Your life validates your choices. Now let's end with a truth few accept. Knowledge is useless. Execution is everything. Repetition is the multiplier. If you can master this, you can learn anything, do anything, and achieve anything. It's simple. It's not easy, but it works. You have a choice. Consume endlessly and stay average. Or act relentlessly and become extraordinary. The choice is yours. Chapter 11. Never miss twice. Everyone fails. It's unavoidable. Life hits. Energy fades. Motivation disappears. Even the best of us miss a step. And that's okay. Missing once does not define you. It's human. It's natural. It's expected. The problem is missing twice. Missing twice is a pattern. It's a decision, not a mistake. It's where weakness takes root. That's the key. Let me be clear. Progress is not destroyed by a bad day. Progress is destroyed by the choice to quit. You have a choice. Fall once. Fall twice. Not fine. Fall twice and you teach yourself it's acceptable. Fall twice and you train your mind to accept mediocrity. You do not want that. High performers understand this instinctively. They know the first miss is a warning. The second miss is a choice. And every choice compounds. Let's break this down. Life will throw you off schedule. You'll skip a workout. You'll miss a meeting. You'll procrastinate on a task. It happens. Most people treat the first miss as a failure and stop. Some even spiral. They say, "I blew it, might as well quit." Don't be that person. You must adopt a simple rule: never miss twice. Miss once. Reset. Execute. Miss twice? That's where weakness sticks. That's where excuses multiply. That's where your life drifts. Let's talk psychology. Our brain craves consistency. It wants to create patterns. It doesn't care if the pattern is good or bad. If you miss twice, your brain creates a pattern of missing. If you get back on track immediately, your brain creates a pattern of resilience. Which pattern do you want? Resilience or resignation? That's the choice. Let's get practical. Step 1. Accept the first miss. Don't punish yourself. Don't dwell. It happened. Move forward. Step 2. Commit to the second step. The very next chance you get, show up. Focus. Execute. Immediate action creates momentum. Momentum beats regret. Momentum prevents failure from compounding. Repeat this consistently. Fall once. Get back immediately. Fall once. Get back immediately. Say it aloud. Fall once. Get back immediately. Now let's discuss what you must stop doing. Stop giving yourself permission to miss twice. Stop rationalizing. Stop waiting for tomorrow. Missing twice is a choice. Excuses are choices. Quitting is a choice. Stop thinking a bad day gives you a pass. It doesn't. Stop giving yourself permission to drift. You don't need their permission to stay disciplined. Discipline is your responsibility. Accountability is your obligation. Your results depend on this. Now let's talk about what you must start doing. Start planning for the miss. Yes, plan for it. Because life is unpredictable. You'll get tired. You'll get sick. You'll lose focus. Anticipate it. Accept it. Decide beforehand, I may fall once. I will never fall twice. Now let's address the mental strategy. When you miss, do not wallow. Do not blame. Do not rationalize. Instead, reset immediately. Ask, what is my next step? Then take it. Immediate correction prevents drift. Immediate correction strengthens identity. Immediate correction builds resilience. High performers follow this instinctively. They understand the first miss is temporary. The second miss is dangerous. The second miss kills progress. Here's a real-world example. A runner skips a training session. The first miss is fine. Life happens. Energy dips. Schedule conflicts. But the runner trains the next day. Pattern restored. Progress intact. Another runner skips a session. Then they skip another. Now skipping is acceptable. Excuses are normal. Momentum reversed. Progress lost. The difference? One immediate action. One person applied the rule. Never miss twice. Let's make this actionable. Create a never miss twice system. Step 1. Log your tasks. Step 2. Mark what you miss. Step 3. Take immediate corrective action. Step 4. Track patterns. This prevents excuses from becoming habits. This prevents laziness from becoming identity. Now let's tackle the fear of falling behind. People avoid action because they fear missing. They say, "If I fall, it's over." Wrong. Falling once is not failure. Falling twice is preventable. Plan, reset, execute. This is the mindset of high performers. Repetition is critical. Every time you apply never miss twice, your brain rewires. Every recovery strengthens discipline. Every rebound proves your resilience. Say it aloud. Fall once. Get back immediately. Fall once. Get back immediately. Internalize it. Make it a mantra. Let it guide daily decisions. Let's address excuses. Excuses only work if you believe them. They work only if you accept them. Do not accept them. Excuses lead to second misses. Second misses lead to patterns. Patterns lead to mediocrity. You have a choice. Immediate action or long-term regret. Resilience or resignation. Excellence or mediocrity. Decide. Now let's reinforce the identity shift. You are not someone who gives up after a bad day. You are someone who recovers immediately. You are someone who corrects course. You are someone who never misses twice. That is your identity. Every time you uphold it, it strengthens. Every time you falter but recover, it strengthens. Every time you repeat it, it becomes automatic. Automatic behavior beats motivation every time. Now let's tie it to momentum. Momentum is fragile. Missing twice kills it. Recovering immediately preserves it. Resilience compounds faster than motivation. Your results depend on this. Your future depends on this. Your life depends on this. Let's anchor the coaching mantra. Fall off once. Get back immediately. Say it. Fall off once. Get back immediately. Repeat it until it becomes instinct. Stop rationalizing. Stop delaying. Stop debating. Fall once. Get back immediately. That's how winners operate. That's how high performers maintain dominance. That's how you take control of your life. Now let's prepare for the next chapter. You've learned how to prevent patterns of failure. You've learned how to correct course immediately. You've learned that momentum is sacred. Now it's time to understand the ultimate lever for progress. Chapter 12. Let time work for you. Time is the most powerful tool you have. And most people waste it. They want shortcuts. They want overnight results. They chase trends. They chase hacks. And they fail. But because they forget the truth, time rewards consistency. Consistency compounds. Small habits build mountains. Daily action turns invisible effort into visible results. Every day, every choice, every step matters more than you realize. That's the key. Let's start with a reality check. You cannot control everything. You cannot speed up time. You cannot force results to appear on demand. But you can control your actions. You can control your routines. You can control how you spend your energy every single day. And when you do, time becomes your ally. Time starts to work for you instead of against you. Let me give you an example. Imagine two people with the same goal. One tries to do everything at once. Overwhelmed, inconsistent, burned out. The other focuses on tiny habits. 10 minutes of effort. 15 minutes of practice. One small action every day. 5 years later, who do you think wins? It's not even close. The person who acted daily, even in small ways, dominates. Not because of genius. Not because of luck. Because of time compounded with discipline. That's the truth few people understand. Most people are chasing instant results. They look for overnight success. They quit when it doesn't happen. Don't be most people. You have a choice. The choice is simple. Act every day, no matter how small. Let time do the heavy lifting. Let your habits multiply. Let your effort compound. That's the key. Now, let's talk about the psychology of this principle. Humans are wired for immediacy. We want to see results now. We want gratification now. But real growth doesn't happen in hours. It doesn't happen in weeks. It happens in months, in years, in decades. Daily improvement is invisible. It feels like nothing is happening. And that's where most people give up. But the truth is, invisible effort is building unstoppable momentum. Every book you read, every workout you complete, every habit you reinforce, every skill you practice, it adds up, exponentially. Time is your amplifier. Discipline is your fuel. Consistency is your engine. And here's the beauty. The longer you sustain it, the faster it accelerates. Let me repeat that. The longer you sustain it, the faster it accelerates. That is why legends always look ordinary at first. They put in the work when no one is watching. They show up when it's inconvenient. They act daily, without fanfare, without excuses. And then one day results appear. Not suddenly, not magically, but inevitably. That's the secret of compounding. That's the power of time. That's the leverage few people understand. Let's make this practical. Step 1. Define your daily actions. What can you do every single day that moves the needle forward? It doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It must be consistent. Step 2. Protect your daily actions. Guard them like your life depends on them, because your future does. Consistency is non-negotiable. Step 3. Measure progress. Keep track of your actions. Even small victories count. Every mark on the chart is evidence that time is working for you. Step 4. Reinforce identity. Don't see yourself as someone who tries. See yourself as someone who acts daily without fail. Act like who you're becoming. Daily action builds identity. Identity compounds results. Now let's address the myths. Some people believe in overnight success. They think the right trick or hack will save them. They envy viral moments. Here's the truth. Viral moments are built on years of unseen effort. Small steps. Daily discipline. Invisible progress stacked until breakthrough is inevitable. If you want results that last, ignore the hype. Focus on what you can control, your daily actions. Let time do the rest. Let's repeat this truth again. Time rewards consistency. It punishes inconsistency. It multiplies effort compounded daily. It exposes neglect. Your job is simple. Show up every day. Show up consistently, even when tired. Even when uninspired. Even when progress feels invisible. Do it anyway. Here's a practical tip for the long game. Think in years, not days. 5 minutes of reading every day is 2 books a month. 10 minutes of practice every day is 60 hours a year. Small steps accumulate into massive advantage. Do the math. Plan for the long game. Let time work for you, not against you. Now, let's tackle mindset. You will encounter setbacks. You will encounter slow progress. You will encounter people who quit and mock your patience. Ignore them. Consistency is invisible to them. But visible results will shame the skeptics later. Every day you act, you're investing in your future. Every day you skip, you're borrowing against your future. Do not borrow. Invest. That's the difference between winners and losers. Winners understand the slow accumulation of advantage. Losers chase quick fixes. Winners respect time. Losers resent it. Which are you? Here's the mantra for this chapter. Time rewards consistency. Say it aloud. Time rewards consistency. Internalize it. Live it. Now, let's reinforce behavior. Do not overcomplicate. Do not seek perfection. Do not wait for the perfect conditions. Start now. Act daily. Let it accumulate. Let it compound. Let it multiply. The power is in persistence. The power is in repetition. The power is in letting time do what you cannot. Now let's address excuses again. Excuses will tempt you. You will say, "I'll start tomorrow." Or, "I'll do more next week." Start today. Small action. Every day. Consistency beats intensity every single time. It is not about perfection. It is about showing up daily, without fail. Small habits may seem insignificant now. They feel slow. They feel invisible. But 5 years from now, they dominate. That's the power of time. That's the reward of consistency. Let's repeat that one more time. Time rewards consistency. Every small habit, every daily action, every choice, compounded over years. Unstoppable. Now let's conclude. You have learned the final truth. Daily action turns time into your ally. Patience, persistence, and repetition create massive results. Forget shortcuts. Forget hype. Forget instant gratification. Your mission is clear. Act daily. Protect your habits. Measure your actions. Let time multiply your effort. Remember, you have a choice. You don't need anyone's permission. Consistency builds momentum. Momentum builds results. Results build identity. Identity builds a life few can match. Time is your ally. Use it. Respect it. Leverage it. And with that, your journey of improvement is complete. You've learned to stop waiting for motivation. You've learned that small habits are not small. You've learned that standards decide your future. You've learned to eliminate energy leaks. You've learned to strengthen discipline. You've learned to win the first hour. You've learned to track what you want to grow. You've learned to become boringly consistent. You've learned that identity beats willpower. You've learned to learn, apply, repeat. You've learned to never miss twice. And now, you've learned the ultimate truth. Time rewards consistency. Take this. Apply it. Live it. Your future self will thank you. Your life will change. This is your challenge. Start today. Act daily. Protect your habits. Let time work for you. The journey does not end here. It begins anew every morning. Consistency compounds. Discipline dominates. Time rewards you. Now go. Start. Every day. Without fail. You don't need a new life. You need a new day, used correctly. Every habit you repeat is a vote for who you become. Every excuse you accept is a tax on your future. Get better today. Not perfect. Not dramatic. Just better. Then do it again tomorrow. And the next day. And the next. This is how ordinary people become dangerous. This is how small habits create massive results. Your challenge is simple. Choose one habit from this audiobook. Start today. Do not skip tomorrow. Because the version of you want is built daily. Now go earn it.